Preview season carries on, and today it's all about the NC State Wolfpack. Can they bounce back really from what was a disappointing season at 6-7, 3-5 in conference? Obviously, the injury to Grayson McCall, season-ending and even really career-ending injury to Grayson McCall, set them back a little bit, and then they just had struggles from there on out. So the question now is, can they improve off of last year, which was not necessarily terrible? Can the defense finally improve a little bit after being one of the worst in the ACC last year? And if so, how much can they, and what will they do? First off, welcome in. This is Armchair Analysis, Thursday, June 26th, 2025. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day so far. If you are, please, well, first off, great. But if you are, and if you're tuning in, if you're new around here, please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think about this NC State team in 2025, and make sure you stick around, because while I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I give you all the information, sometimes things get missed just a little bit. And when they do get missed, we try to, I like for the comments to have little bits of information that maybe can be helpful and informative to people who are trying to learn something here. I mean, maybe you're not an NC State fan. Maybe you're a Cal fan and you want to understand, even though your team doesn't play NC State this year, maybe you want to understand a little more about them in the conference surrounding you. So with that, thank you guys for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get started. So to start with any team, we always look at the year before, and 2024 was, again, a year of disappointment. 6-7, 3-5 in ACC play. They averaged 28.5 points per game offensively, which was pretty solid given all things that went wrong, seemingly, for this team. That was 62nd in college football. This team allowed 30.2 points per game, which was 103rd in the FBS level. Turnover margin per game, negative 0.3, that's 80th. This team just simply struggled on defense, but not only did they struggle on defense, they struggled to take care of the football offensively. CJ Bailey had 10 interceptions last year, and I do need to double check a little bit of my math here, because I don't want to be wrong, but okay, he did play in all 12 games, but still had 10 interceptions. Those numbers just need to come down. You need to take better care of the football. And, 10's not that bad, but they're only accounting for 17 touchdowns through the air. It just is not not a sign for success. Need to be better, more consistent in the pass game. A 64% passer, you want to see that number jump up just a little bit. Maybe this team gets a little better. The biggest thing for me is how they improve. Dave Dorn, of course, is going to do a lot there, and the team didn't do anything, really. It didn't do much in the portal. They were number 57 in the transfer portal class rankings, 34th in the recruiting class rankings in 2025. Kurt Roper, of course, leading this offense, and CJ Bailey I'm almost certain, will be the quarterback this year. The only other option you really have is Lex Thomas. I don't think that's going to be the answer. So, with CJ Bailey as the projected starter, Hollywood Smothers going to be the running back this year, and I'm expecting him to kind of be the leader in that room now. They, of course, have Jaden Scott, who's a freshman, who I think they're going to have play a little bit more, or play a little bit this year, but I think Hollywood Smothers is the proven number one running back here on this team. The wide receiver, you got Noah Rogers coming back, Wesley Grimes, and Terrell Anderson. Also to note that Keenan Jackson is expected to be a pretty key player for this team as well. Justin Jolly is interesting. He's a returning starter at tight end. And when I did my tight end list, it was funny enough. I'm almost certain that it was Justin Jolly's dad who commented, stating that I should be paying a little bit more attention to his son. So there is the attention paid. And I think, having gone back and looked at some film, I definitely think that he is going to be a key player in this offense. I think the wide receiver room is pretty good. I love Noah Rogers, of course, the former Ohio State wide receiver, transferred out to get some playing time, and I think he's going to be a big addition this year, much like he was last year, to what this offense can do. They lose Casey Concepcion to Texas A&M, and I think that's kind of an underrated loss for this team. It's a big loss. They certainly have to find a way to replace him. But having guys like Rogers, Grimes, I think are going to be able to maybe replace it a little bit. At the offensive line, you had a couple of transfers coming in. Teague Anderson from Utah State and Jalen Grant from Purdue. Expected to be a couple of starters for this team. Jacarius Peak is a left tackle, or projected to be the starting left tackle. He was graded 78.7, highest PFF grade on the team as an overall offensive lineman. I think this team is going to be really led by what their offensive line can do. If they can keep CJ Bailey protected, I think it'll continue to help him limit the turnovers and ultimately become a little bit more of an impact player to this program. As for the defense, DJ Elliott is the defensive coordinator. They've got 9 of 11 players returning from the 2024 roster, and they have a projected 4 returning starters to this team. Trey Thomas from Temple, J.J. Johnson from Georgia State, those are your 2 transfers that are projected to be starters. Last year's leader, Sean Brown, kind of dominates a lot of this. He had 96 combined tackles, 9 tackles for loss. He was tied with Trevally Price for the lead in that tackles for loss category returning. And then he leads forced fumbles. That's Sean Brown, of course, leading forced fumbles with 2. Trevally Price led the team, in at least the returning team, in sacks with 3.5 last year. And Devin Marshall leading the returners in interceptions. He had 2 interceptions last year. There's a lot to replace on this defense that, again, was not very good. I don't know what to expect. I don't really know what to say about this defense personally. It's going to be kind of, I'm going to say it's going to be kind of interesting to watch because I think there's some potential for this team. I like the offense. I really do. I think CJ Bailey, year 3 of at least being a part-time starter, if not a starter. Now, I think that maturity's got to come. It's got to be here now, especially to lead this program. I think there's a lot of potential for this team. I think part of the issue is a really tough schedule. I mean, we'll get into it, but it is a really tough schedule. And again, the defense has to improve. I mean, it kind of went unnoticed by me last year how bad they were defensively. But when I went back to look and really see what this team was going to be, it stuck out to me. It was a really big issue, really, and part of why they were under 500 at the end of the year last year. Now, because I have this magazine, I'm going to read a quote from an anonymous SEC assistant, or an anonymous ACC assistant coach, an opposing coach. This is obviously coming from the Athlon Sports magazine. You can get the preview magazine. I got the, I believe the Big 12 edition this year from Athlon Sports. I get this magazine every year the last 3 years. Really love it. It's honestly one of the things I look through. If you want to know some other places I get some research from, didn't expect to do this because I'm not paid by these guys. These are who I go to. These are the ones that I love to read and hear what they have to say and see all the analytics, especially in this book right here. It's the Phil Steele College Football Preview 2025. This one, I believe I just got the East Coast. Edition, of course. Lenore Sellers, DJ Lagway, Kate Klubnik, Francis Malagoa, and Blake Horvath. The big reason for that one was obviously Sellers, but Blake Horvath, the Navy quarterback, for those of you who don't know, being a veteran and being a veteran of the Marine Corps, the Army-Navy game, I'm go Navy, beat Army all day long. Seeing Blake Horvath on the cover of a college football preview magazine is absolutely badass. It's everything I wanted to see. It's just really cool to me that he's getting the recognition that I think he deserves. Anyways, to get back to this quote here again from Athlon Sports College Football Preview Magazine. This is one of the most consistent programs in our league. Dave Dorn has done a great job adjusting and rebuilding the roster over the years. The issue has always been how NC State is perceived. They'll have a really strong They have really strong seasons with breakout guys, and then they always fail to take that next bigger step. Right now, it's easier to justify them being in that 8-win range because they're lagging in NIL. The expectations and reality are pretty far off in that regard. Keeping CJ Bailey was a big step to building for the future. He was a big positive for them after the Grayson McCall experiment didn't pan out. There's always talent on these rosters, and it's always a step behind the top programs in the league. Again, that's an opposing coach. For me, this is a team bringing in 2 brand new coordinators to their program. The Grayson McCall experiment didn't work out because he got hurt, and then ultimately, again, if I do remember correctly, retiring from the sport. That set back this team, but it didn't really set back the team. What you didn't hear noted here was how bad the defense was. Again, I think it's worth noting they were truly not good. Anyways, we take a look at the schedule here, and it's interesting. It's truly interesting, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it up now. You start off on a Thursday night against ECU at home. If I'm not mistaken, the last time they played ECU in Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium a couple years ago, they lost on opening weekend, 21-20, if I'm not mistaken. May have been, it had to have been 21-20. That's going to be an interesting game to start the season out. Then they play Virginia, Wake Forest, Duke. Wake Forest and Duke on the road. Wake Forest is a Thursday night game. That's going to be a tough one. Virginia Tech is going to be tough, but this game at home is a little different. Campbell is going to be probably your guaranteed win. At Notre Dame, at Pitt, coming out of that bye week after Campbell. Or, sorry, that's not a bye week after Campbell. The bye week, sandwiching the bye week at Notre Dame and at Pitt. 2 very tough games. Georgia Tech, Miami, tough. Florida State, winnable. UNC, probably winnable, but I would say tougher than Florida State. It's not an easy schedule at all. You get the best of this conference. I mean, if you're talking to me right now, and my projection, I'm counting probably 5 of your top 6 in the conference. And the only team I really don't see here is Clemson that would probably solidify that and likely solidify that. That's the best team in the conference, in my opinion, right now. But you got 5 of your top 6. And then it's not easy. Maybe you have 6 or 7 if you want to throw Florida State in there. That's who I was not including. If you want to guess who else was in that top 6. It's going to be tough. It's a tough road for this NC State team, especially to make a bowl game, I think, this year. And certainly that's the expectation. I think the seat starts to maybe warm up, especially if these moves in the not in the portal, but the coaching moves don't work out. Again, you're bringing in 2 coordinators, Kurt Roper and DJ Elliott. Things need to change, and they need to improve right now. This team is not in the position to fall off. And granted, this is a team that's over-under sitting at 6.5. Odds to win the conference at plus 4,000. National championship odds plus 100,000. I don't think there's a chance they win a national championship with this current roster. And I really don't think they win the ACC with this roster. Again, they are not, in my opinion, better. At least it will not finish better than all but 3 of their ACC opponents this year. And to be honest, I think one of those 3 is going to finish better than them, based off of the records that I have so far predicted. So with that said, let's go ahead and preview it. Let me explain to you why I feel the way I feel. This ECU game, this is game 1 for Mike Houston as a head coach at ECU. That defense is going to be good. They lose Siobhan Ravel. I don't really think it's going to matter. I think they're going to replace, improve, continue the success defensively. What's going to change is the offense, and I'm excited for Caden Hauser this year. Obviously, they lose Chase Sowell, but it's going to be a really fun roster, a really fun team to watch how they maneuver through this season. I'm expecting a lot from Caden Hauser. I'm expecting a lot from ECU, And I think this game, as it always does, comes down to the very wire, where NC State, I'm talking barely, pulls off the win, gets their revenge for a couple years ago in that loss. They'll play Virginia at home, and again, the home field advantage, I think, means a little bit here. Virginia is still going to be working out some kinks of their offense. NC State has so much returning that it's not going to be as difficult for them. They'll get the win. This is where it gets a little difficult. You go on the road to Wake Forest on September 11th. That's a Thursday night game in Winston-Salem. That's going to be difficult. Now, this is a Wake Forest team that's trying a little bit of something different. Jake Dickert obviously taking over as a head coach. Robbie Ashford projected to be the quarterback. How do they move through this season? Well, I think they're going to move pretty well. I think that this is going to be a signature win on the Jake Dickert era, getting an early win over NC State. You go on the road to Duke, and I think Duke is just that much better this year. Plain and simple. I don't have much else to say. Virginia Tech at home. I think I'm going to give NC State the win here. I overbought on Virginia Tech last year, and truth be told, they disappointed me so much that I'm not doing that again. I can't. I do not feel like this team has made the necessary improvements. I don't think the coaching staff is going to make the necessary improvements to get this team above the hump that they are at right now of just kind of being a fringe bowl eligible team. Taking NC State to get the win at home. They'll obviously, I think, beat Campbell on October 4th to move out of the first half of the season at 4-2. And that's comforting. But look at that second half of the schedule. Notre Dame and Pitt on the road, Miami on the road, Georgia Tech at home, Florida State at home, UNC at home. It's not easy. It's not an easy road, so let's go ahead. At Notre Dame, it's a loss. I can't predict that to be a win. At Pitt, I trust Pitt's offense. I trust Eli Holstein, and I think Pitt has the best linebacker room in the country. On top of that, their defense is just going to be good. That's a Narduzzi special with the way their defense is going to play this year. Cannot predict a win for NC State here. It'll start 0-2 in the back half. They'll go in at 500 in this game against Georgia Tech. This game's going to be at home, but I think Haynes King, they're going to have a really big surprise in their own roster with Eric Rivers. I think they know what they're getting out of him, the FIU transfer, but what they can be with him, along with Malik Rutherford, Haynes King at quarterback, and just how good they're going to be. Not only that, their backup is going to be just as good and can replace if Haynes King goes down. They're not worried. Brent Key, not worried. Georgia Tech's going to get the win. Go on the road to Miami. This is a game where you're overpowered at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. This is a game where you are just simply not better. So it's going to be a loss. Florida State is probably the closest thing for me out of those, the five here that we are working on in the back half. The closest game for me to be picked for an NC State win. However, it is not. I think Florida State's just, again, the better team. Really depends on how Thomas Castellanos is playing. If Castellanos is not very good, then we're probably switching this game around. But for right now, I am taking Florida State to get the win here. And then UNC at home. Bill Belichick's first year, I think they're going to be pretty good. They got a really solid roster. Gio Lopez is a trusted quarterback for me. The defense, I trust. I really do trust what they're doing with Steve Belichick. They're going to lose to UNC. They're going to close the season losing their final 6 games. And they're going to fall to 4-8, 2-6 on the season. I don't like doing this. This is a team that I really like. I want NC State to succeed as much as they can. But I just cannot imagine the improvement necessary for defense to actually help them out. And I really don't buy the improvement necessary on the offensive side of the football, specifically at quarterback, to really get things done. I like CJ Bailey. I do want him to succeed, but it's just going to be really tough. And again, this is a brutal conference schedule. When I talk about 6 of the top 7 teams in the conference, maybe even 7 of 8, it is truly, or no, 6 of 7, 4 of 5, or 5 of 6, however you want to put it. And then you get Notre Dame as well in this schedule. It is just not easy whatsoever. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. 4-8, 2-6 for NC State. If you're an NC State fan, let me know what you think. And obviously, you're gonna be disappointed. I'm not upset with you for being disappointed by that prediction. You should be, because the standard has been set that this is a team that competes to be top 5 in the conference year in and year out. And in the last 2 years, this year included, should it go this way, have not lived up to expectations. It leads to questions about Dave Dorn and whether or not they're going to be where they need to be. Leads to questions about NIL, which is certainly, it's a question in some regards, but it's not in others. I mean, if you really think about it, they bring in Will Wade, and they're doing an amazing job in the portal already in that tenure on the basketball side of things. This is a baseball program that was getting COVID away from potentially winning a national championship back in 2020. This is a football program who has some marquee wins in this decade, to include wins over Clemson, upset wins over Miami, Florida State. I mean, they've done what they need to do over the course of time, and I think that Dave Dorn deserves the chance to really prove that it's not him, that this is an NIL issue. This is an issue with what they're able to do in the portal. Even though they made some good moves, they could not keep one of their best players, and again, Concepcion, who's now over at A&M. They just need to prove it. Can they pony up in the NIL game? That's the biggest question to ask. But I'm taking the under on 6.5 either way. I think I think their max is going to be 6 this year. And 6-6 2 years in a row would probably not be the place that they want to sit currently in the state of college football that we're in. So thank you all for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the NC State Wolfpack. Will they be 4-8? Can they make a bowl game this year? All of that to be determined. I thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys tune in tomorrow. We got the Kansas Jayhawks on tap. Really excited to see how they bounce back after a 5-7 season last year. Are they expected to make a bowl game? Can they do so? And what kind of competition will they bring to the Big 12? Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Kansas Jayhawks.